Hello and welcome to Colors of Chaos. I'm Magilad and today we'll be exploring the 4th episode of RWBY Fairy Tales, The Indecisive King. There are a few changes within this episode, with the first being that the king told the widow, whose village was destroyed by Grimm, to come and ask her question again when she was done grieving, which brings a fun little detail with the widow being a fauness. There was no confirmation of that in the book from what I can find. Soon after came the man who offered him a new crown. This is a bit more of a shift than the original. In the book, the man states that he has no crown like this one, and makes the claim that for the wisest king in the land, it is much better for him since he had no use for it. The sinister tone here goes into that he wished to come closer to place said crown onto his head, which the king allowed as he often accepted gifts from his subjects. But the guards, which weren't present in the episode, were watching this carefully. This man takes the time to whisper into the king's ear next, to which he questions where he got the crown before it's placed upon his head. It wasn't exactly stated what he saw here at the moment, only that he went pale and commanded the guards to search for the man. Since it's a little unclear there, I had liked to think that maybe he had told him of its power secretly, but because of what it does in the story and in both the show and book, I believed it to be the Relic of Choice. Now there were other people in his court still after this had occurred in the book, but the crown had already seized his mind with what was shown. He then proceeded to wander into court late the next day with smudges under his eyes. Here another difference occurs. The father of the woman wanting to marry asks him what he should do, instead of her, since she wants to marry her childhood best friend. The widow proceeded to have a little aside here after that, questioning what was wrong with him as he had never changed his mind before, to which the servant said he's also never given bad advice before. There's a whole bit about him closing the court and how he's changed the next day, between the widow and the steward. This leads to the former saying it started with the crown. She proceeds to question where it is to go and do something about it. This is where she sneaks into the room where the crown is and wears it, and from here the king returns after his meeting to only fly into a rage after she made her presence known to him. Now she goes on about how she finally is ready to ask her question again, only for the king to say he can't even help himself. This is where the widow states that she doesn't seek his wisdom and says she came to give her advice since he called on people to do so for him. Her case is that if he can't make simple decisions, what can he do in the future when the big ones come? Then she is asked what she saw with the crown, and it's much of the same with what happened in the episode, with one key difference I find more enjoyable in the book. This is a story about allowing yourself to make mistakes. So her advice was to trust in himself, or allow himself to make the wrong decision. She says this so that he can be comforted in the knowledge that he tried his very best, the future being one of his own making. Too much knowledge causes you to never make a decision, though it is a power that can be used. Sometimes it is better to allow yourself to make mistakes than to be overburdened with trying to make the right call all the time. That is the original ending, one that I find much more useful to take with you than what was given via the episode. It really is something we can all take to heart in the end. Hope you all enjoyed this episode of RWBY Fairy Tales Explored. If you did, please follow our journeys throughout Remnant by dropping a like, follow, hitting that bell, and subscribing to see our content in the future. Until next time.